And hello, everybody, and welcome back to another round of the ERS and PGS event, of course, streamed live to the ERS Twitch channel. Today we are here for round 3 of the event, and we are here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore for, well, what will be this incredible race. If you do not know me, I'll introduce myself now. My name is Cameron Don. People on the PC side probably have not heard of me before, that being I am a PlayStation commentator, which is the reason why you can see the monitor and PC on everyone's names, because crossplay has been turned on so that there can be a commentator, which is me. So crossplay is on. Hopefully no issues because of that. But I, Cameron Don, will be commentating today, and just a little bit insider information if you don't know who I am. I commentate in PSGL PlayStation F8. I commentate in WOR Console Tier 4. I also commentate in team events like EOR, which has the PC side, of course, and CSS, which I can now say is also opening up a PC side too for season 2, as I commentate the PlayStation Division 1, but now it's opening up to PlayStation Division 1 and 2, and then also PC Division 1 too. Tony Richet has returned track. I don't know if that's an issue or not. We will see in messages now, but okay, so something has happened. Bear with me, people. So, I don't know if you saw, it's daytime. So, I think we're going to be having a restart. Max is doing a warm-up lap right now. As he flies around the first few corners, like I said, we're going to be going to... well, Max has just hit the wall, and... who knows what that was. Just some issues, yeah. AI gaslighting and everything, so... So everyone's leaving the session. We're just going to a quick restart, where, hopefully, the right settings will be. So, we will be back at some point. Well, I mean, we're still here. Yeah, cockpit cam. Oh yeah, not only was it daytime, cockpit cam was also locked. So, that's funny. But yeah, we'll just wait for the new lobby. Someone added me. Who was it? Guess I saw the notification. There we go. Tez. There we go. Okay, so we're just... Oh, no, I mean, my PlayStation friends list. 204 online friends, a casual amount on F1. As we just wait for another invite to the new lobby by the only... So, what was the weather? And there's like Yarmo said, yeah, Snakes is the greatest host. He is. Bro had everyone doing cockpit cam. So 18 people are in, but where am I? Is what I'm saying. Everyone's in. I'm not. So that's brilliant. This is already a shambles. You're missing me, the commentator. Joined then. You invited me, and I got no invite. You're more the if you. Okay, so hopefully I can get. Hopefully I can get an invite. There I go. Woohoo. Okay, let's check these settings. Force cockpit cam. Where's that? Let's just have a little look. Force. Where is Force cockpit cam? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's keep on scrolling. Dynamic, realistic. So that'll be nighttime. Perfect. I think everything is right. One check, one more check, one more check, one more check. Short and long, short quality, long ways. Dynamic, realistic, perfect. Strict, reduced, off, off. And then hard field, standard damage, yeah. We should be right. Check this in. What's this? Oh yeah, okay, so there, it's off now. Okay, we're going under A, so hopefully. I mean, I've checked the settings, of course, and they were all right. So, hopefully, this works. If not, then this was, I guess. Let's just hope it does. As apparently in the first lobby, it was a dry quali and then a wet race. So, but of course, since it was just an instant restart, we are not doing that now. Imagine if it's a wet qualifying now. It is dry. Okay, that's nice to see. So, proper qualifying now. Settings are correct because it's not daytime, it is nighttime. There is no forced cockpit cam. So, this is the right lobby. This is the lobby which we are using. So, 19 drivers today, only one PGS driver, being our lobby host streaming Denit. So weird saying full names because I've never had to say drivers' full names, but new experiences, of course. So first driver out is actually the Tez driver of Jan Trepkov. I've definitely said that wrong, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying my best. So there's Tez, TF10, ZBS, there's WR, there's NLR, there's PGS, there's FVR, there's FRT, and what's the other team which I haven't mentioned? ET8. Those are the teams in the event, of course. It's round 3 standings. I don't even know if there is public standings or not. I'm going to have a little look. Standings. Currently, PSR are on 35 points, followed by TF10 on 33, TES are on 18, WR on 8, PGS is on 5, ABS is on 2, and then FER, NLR, FRT, and ETA are all on 0. So, interesting. PSR, TF10 currently fighting for the lead in the championship. PSR having Tycho Hardy and Jerry Van Bussel both racing. Of course, some people may know Jerry from being on the PlayStation side of PSR, but he also has a PC and also does some occasional PC races, like this one where he's going to be racing for PSR, and then TF10 has the PSGL PCF1 driver of Dylan Warren racing, plus also the PSGL F2 driver of Max Whittle racing as well. So, well, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, we're going to ride on board with Janet Trepkov as, of course, the track has just been updated as we go round turn 1 of Shears into turn 2 and into turn 3, then going past the first DRS detection point and then going round turn 4 and then into turn 5 of the right hander, then opening up DRS for the first time on your lap, going round turn 6 and entering sector 2. It's currently a 26.503 for the test driver. Round turn 7 and then you've got turn 8, another 90-degree corner. He hasn't validated on his lap time, so we're now going to go to the drivers behind him, which is ABS Matthew Bassett, who... Oh wait, he's actually ahead of him. Never mind. So Matthew currently is going around turn 11, he went through turn 8, turn 9, and turn 10, Stanford, Padang, and the Singapore Sling. He's now on the second DRS straight, heading up into turn 14, where we will now see the updated track. Turn 18 to 21 have all been removed, so you go round turn 15 onto a long straight now, and then into the final 4 corners. You've got turn 16 and turn 17, where of course the braking points are a lot different now. Turn 16, turn 17, and the final 2 corners of turn 18 and turn 19. ABS are going to be the first driver to set a lap time, which is valid, and it's going to be a 27.8 for Matthew and Jeanne in the pit lane, and then it's a Williams driver, I believe, of Taicho next, a 28.5 for him. There's then an Aston Martin following him, and that is Tony Rusche, who hasn't validated his lap. Also, it's a 37.9 though, which would I mean, it looks like he probably backed out of his lap time. That would be my guess. Max Russell has went into the pit lane after he has invalidated his lap time too. Driver Van Bizzle goes up into P2 for 28.269. WR Justin Ertz goes P4 for 28.591, a thousandth faster than Taicho, and then Franek, part of Tez, goes P2 with a 27.939. He puts himself around 600ths, 600ths behind the ABS driver of Matthew, as there is a Mercedes driver coming across the line, there's an Alpine driver coming across the line. That is Raymond Denut, the PGS driver, the only one which we have today. That's then a Mercedes of Joris, part of NLR, across the line next. He goes P7, and then there's Daniel Gottschalk, who goes up into P3. The German driver, 28.256 for him, beats Jerry Van Bussel by 3 thousandths of a second. Dylan Warren goes up into P5 with a 28.3. We then have Mark Schluter into P6 with a 28.405. We then have, I'm trying to see anyone else, Tadpole for 30.2, and Kien, I'm going to say Kien, but it's definitely wrong, for 29.3 in P11 for now. So currently Matthew, first lap, is a great lap time because it's currently got him set in provisional pole position. However, of course, there is the other drivers like Ben Cordonley, who is on a lap currently going through the Singapore sling and will now be opening up the DRS for a second time on his lap, going down into turn 14 and into sector 3. It's currently a 1 minute 5.087 for the NLR driver. His teammate Joris went P9 with a 28.9 as Ben going into turn 16 and turn 17 in fourth gear, which is 1 gear higher than I thought people would go, and he dives into the pit lane last second. So he's just going to go out again on newer and fresher tyres, as there is no Carlman out on a lap currently, going round the 90-degree corners of turn 7, 8 and 9 of Memorial Corners, Stamford and Padang, as he has invalidated his lap time through the Singapore sling, so he, I imagine, will enter the pit lane once he gets to the pit lane, as most of the drivers now are just pitting because everyone has just completed their first lap, or if they haven't, they've invalidated their first lap time and have now came into the pit lane to get a second set of tyres on, that being Yanni Trepikov, the test driver, who is now starting his second lap time. He invalidated his first lap time, so will now look to try set his first valid lap time on his second run as he goes round turn 5, and will open up the DRS for the first time this lap. Currently it's in P13, of course it's not an actual position because of him not setting a valid lap time. It's a 26.533 for his first lap right now. Sorry, we're just dealing with a few messages there. Rihanna is now on the second DRS straight after turn 13, heading up into turn 14 now. It's currently a 1 minute 3.675 for the Tez driver as he goes through the new layout, the straight through turn 15 to turn 16, and then he's now going through turn 16, turn 17, and the final two corners 18 and 19. Across the line, what is it going to be for the test driver? It's going to be P6 for now with a 28.349. That will see him go 42 thousandths behind Dylan Warren and about half a tenth ahead of Mark Schluter, who is currently just about to come out of this pit lane to do an outlap for his second lap time. Justin Ertz starting his lap time. Tony Richer also on a lap time right now. Gotchi, the other WR driver, is on a lap right now, I believe, going around the final two corners now. What is he going to be able to do? As he's going to cross the line now, it's going to be a 29.0. It's going to put him P11. Hopefully he does not block the Alpine behind us. There is an Alpine emerging around the last corner. That is... Oh wait, no, it's not an Alpine, sorry, it's a Williams, and that is not Jerry Van Bizzle, but it is Tycho Hardy. Jerry's starting a lap time now. Franek just having started a lap time 2. Dylan also just starting one now. So I'm just trying to notice who is on the lap and who is not. Joris starting a lap time now. Ben Cordonley about to start a lap time. Then we've got the Alpha Taris of Gidschlar. I want to say that's how you say it, but I'm not so sure to how you say that. We've then got Tadpole come across the line next. We then have the Haas driver of Yannick going to be going into the pit lane. Then the Aston Martin of Tony Richer is going to be finished his lap time, going around the final few corners now. What is it going to be for him? It's going to be provisional pole position. He beats his teammate. It's a 27.694. There is a McLaren coming around the final corner though. It's going to be Kine who's going to be starting his next lap. There's an Alfa Romeo of WR Justin going up into P4 of a 28.1, but then there's a Red Bull behind, and I believe it is Noel who's going to be starting a lap time. It's then Raymond next in the Alpine starting his lap time, and then it's the other Red Bull of Mark Schluter starting a lap time. Then it's Tycho who dives into the pit lane, and then Daniel starting a lap time, and then the other Aston Martin of Matthew improving by 49 thousandths, but only doesn't improve any positions. But then there's Franek who manages to beat Matthew and goes up into P2 with a 27.718. It's going to see him go 24 thousandths behind Tony Richer, but then there's Dylan Warren setting the lap time. It's a 27.534 for the PSGL F1 driver. Is also Joris up into P5 of a 27.842. Max Whistle up into P6 with a 27.869. As I'm trying to notice, is there any other drivers? Is Alpha Taris coming across the line? Tadpole finishing his lap time now, round the final corner. It's going to keep him in the same position. He doesn't manage to beat anyone with his timed lap. As Ken is next, he's currently 6 tenths up in his lap time, so it's looking somewhat of a good lap. A few positions definitely gainable here, and he does go up to P13. It is 2 positions gained. The exact same time as Tycho Hardy, who has went into the pit lane, I imagine, having invalidated his lap time. So they currently sit P12, P13. That is Noel setting his first valid lap time. It's only going to be P14 for the ET8 driver with a 28.766. There's then Raymond improving, going up to P15 with a 28.984. I believe that was then Mark Schluter. It was up into P8 for 28.215, under a tenth to get to Justin ahead, but then he's got about 3.5 tenths to Max Whistle in P6. Of course, all these drivers now really just coming into the pit lane as they will all be pitting now. Of course, and will go out for one final lap on their fresher soft tyres, as of course everyone's just flying around now. Ben Cordonley could actually be finished his lap time. He isn't though, because again the NLR driver has invalidated his lap time, as even Judge as well as pitting and coming in for the new softs, as he is also the second driver to have not set a valid lap time yet, and he does not do so on his second run. So 2 drivers without any times yet, and then the field currently split by 2.2 seconds. If you were to count out Tadpole, a second and a half from P1 to P16. You can code Tadpole, it's 2.2. But most of the drivers now just entering into the pit lane. A few are still out, but they will be entering. Dylan Moran has retired. So Dylan has set a 27.534. He's retired in the pit lane. So potentially he's trying to save a set of softs, or as Max has done the same. So the TF10 drivers aren't gonna improve, as there's rain. Maybe that's why, because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's rain on the track. So he's not trying to save any soft tyres, it's because everyone was just trying to get out as quick as they could, because there is now heavy, heavy rain, and the track is already so sufficiently wet. None of these drivers are going to improve on their lap times. Everyone might as well retire, like everyone is currently doing. So that is actually going to be our grid, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Dylan Warren on pole position, as DRS has even been disabled. So that just shows how wet the track all of a sudden has become. As we see Godji spin round, showing how wet this current track is. So Dylan Warren, pole position with a 27.534. He beats Tony Riche by just over a tenth and a half of a second. It's then Franek in P3 with the two ABS drivers being in the top four. Matthew with a round qualifying there. That was a half a tenth improvement in the second lap time, so they didn't do much of an improvement, but it's P4 for the ABS drivers, so P2 and P4 for them. Joris then in P5 ahead of Max Whistle, then in P6 with then Justin Ertz, the WR driver, in P7, then Mark Schluter in P8, Daniel Gottschalk in P9, and Jerry Van Bussel running up the top 10. PSR only P10 and P12, and since they're fighting for the championship currently with TF10, who sit P1, P6, it'll be an interesting race to see what they will do. As we then have, of course, P11 of Ian Trepkov, then P12 Tycho Hardy, and P13 of Keane, P14 Noel Carlman, P15 Raymond Deniet, then P16 of Godji, and then P17 Tadpole. And then the two drivers who did not manage to set valid lap times, Ben Cordonley and Gidge, P18 and P19. FRT down in P17 and P19. It's the worst qualifying result for a team on this grid today, at least. So, only Franek to retire. I'm gonna imagine he's probably getting pinged a little bit in the Discord chat, as we're literally only waiting on him. So, Franek retired. So that is qualifying over, because of course the rain has came at the end of qualifying. So, like I was saying, Dylan Warren on pole position, followed by Tony Riche in P2. We then have the Tez driver of Franek in P3, followed by the other ABS driver in P4. ABS looking very strong today in qualifying. Joris in P5 alongside Max Russell in P6. Then Justin, Mark, Daniel and Jerry round up the top 10 for today. And then we have Jane, Taicho, Kian, Noel, Raymond, Godji, Tadpole, Ben Cordonley, and then Gidge rounding up the grid. Ben Cordonley, Gidge not able to set a valid lap time under 2 laps because, of course, the wet hit, so they couldn't do the third. It looks dry, and it is dry, but we never know because that rain came out of nowhere in qualifying, so who knows if it's going to do the same in the race. I guess we'll find out in a few moments when we will be readying up the strategies. I don't have many notes because of having to join the session and whatnot, so I'm not entirely sure what the best strategy is, but Knowing Singapore and how long the track is and how long the race is, my guess for this would be a medium hard or hard medium. I don't imagine a soft medium or medium soft would be viable at this track, but like I said, I'm not too sure if it is or not because I didn't manage to get the notes in time before I had to join the session and whatnot. So we'll be finding out very shortly what tyre the driver's going to be racing on, and we'll also be starting very shortly too the C5, C4 and C3 tyre compounds being used at this Grand Prix. The softs being C5, the mediums being C4 and the hards being C3. Of course, the higher the tyre, the more wear it has, but the more grip. So, of course, soft being the best. However, the lights are on. We do have a formation lap. I forgot about that. So, we have a formation lap. So, this gives us time to have a little look at the tyres. And it is hards throughout the whole entire field, except for a singular driver of Tony Rishi in P2. So, everyone in hards, so everyone is pretty much going to be on the same strategy. It'll just be undercut or overcut central between everyone, except for Tony, who will be going a medium hard, I would imagine. I think Yarmo reach a main character moment. He's trying to do the moment, but I mean, we'll see, because this could be all part of his plan. Get ahead of Dylan at the start and fly away on the mediums. It could be his plan. We will have to wait and see, as of course we're only just going round. I'm not sure actually if there was supposed to be a safety car. There's talks about it, and I don't think there was. But I guess we will find out. Because, I mean, right now the formation lap is glitched. I think it's still glitched. I'm not entirely sure actually about that. However, I mean, the field right now is a bit split. Franic's burning. He's quite slow right now compared to Tony and Dylan, who are kind of flying ahead in a way. And then it's slowly followed by Matthew, Joris, Maxwell, and the others. So all the drivers will very soon be lining up on the grid. Not very often that you say they're going to be lining up on the grid, because normally the safety cars and normally the formation lap isn't enabled. However, first drivers are parked up. Dylan and Tony both parking up now. Are they going to get disqualified? The question. No, they are not. So Dylan and Tony on the front row. Hards versus mediums. It's going to be hards for the whole entire grid, except for Tony, who's in that second position, with his car tilted towards Dylan Warren's racing line into turn 1. So the question is, who is going to be ahead at the start? We'll find out very shortly, as there is going to be one. Where's the lights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in Singapore. It is lights out and away we go. Who is going to have the better start? And I believe it is Dylan. He swerves across the track to try beat Tony to the racing line. But they're going to go side by side. Dylan slightly goes off the track, but Tony is trying to get up into P1. There is contact between these two drivers, and they're trying to go side by side through turn 4 and into what could be turn 5. Tony is trying as hard as possible. He's trying as hard as possible to get past, and there was contact, and Matthew follows through. So Dylan now falling down to P3, but looking to try to get past Matthew in the early stages. He's going to look for a move potentially. He thinks better of it though, as that is Max trying to make moves on Joris for P5. The TF10 driver trying to get past the NLR driver in the tricky street circuit of the Marina Bay. It's chaos in lap 1. I'm going to quickly get up the position changes just to see what's happening right now. Matthew, brilliant start up 2 positions. A few drivers at the back, like Raymond up 2. Judge up 2, now 3. Ken hasn't had the greatest of restarts in P17. Potential frontline damage, it doesn't look like it, but he is being swarmed by the drivers as he's now being overtaken by Ben Cortonley. Tadpole could follow through too. So not the greatest of starts for the FVR driver there. But it's ABS currently leading the way with a 1-2. And it's Dylan and Matthew spun round. Dylan has went into the rear of Matthew. And we're not sure what's happened there, but Dylan falls to the back of the grid. Matthew down into P14, now P13 as he overtakes Godge, but that's so unfortunate. But now nearly every single driver has moved the position now, most of them being up one position at least. Tony Risha now leading the way by 2 seconds to Franek, who has the drivers of Joris, Max and Mark following him behind. Jerry very close to the back of Daniel Gottschalk, also followed by his very own teammate of Tycho Hardig. Chaos in that one. 2 of the podium contenders has spun round. So this will be very interesting indeed to see what is going to happen the rest of this race. As Tony is pushing these medium tyres to his limit. He's already gained 7 tenths this lap alone to Franek. Of course, Franek, though, probably is trying to conserve these tyres because, I mean, the hard compared to the mediums, of course. The mediums, better grip, but then they don't go as long. Hards are the opposite to that, of course. So Tony leading the way, entering lap 3. Franek and Joris on the podium, followed by Max. Mark out of the DRS range. He's fallen out of that 1 second range as Tony sets a new fastest lap of the race. It's a 1:32.003. DRS is now enabled, so it doesn't look like Mark is going to be getting DRS right now. Neither is Justin. Justin is nearly outside of that 1 second window. And is he going to be able to get us the question? He narrowly gets it, but Mark does not. So the 88 driver has had to burn his ERS. He's now down to 25%, but he's had to burn his ERS so that he can ensure he's going to get DRS in upcoming lap times. It is a purple sector 1 for Mark, so it's clearly showing how much he's used. Justin slightly off the track there. I would imagine that would be a warning for the WR driver, as then there is Daniel Gottschalk behind in P7 right now, struggling to also stay in that 1 second window. However, Justin has had a moment, and now he has fallen out of the 1 second window, and Daniel is catching very fast to the back in the rear wing of the WR driver. Of course, he is followed behind by nearly every single driver on the grid, all the way from P8 down to P18, sorry, as Tony still leading the way, having gained about 5 tenths this lap. But it looks like Justin is going to be one of the only drivers to not have any DRS on this track. It's going to be, one of 3? Him, Tony, and Tadpole are going to be the only drivers with no DRS. So actually, Mark potentially might not have anything. He might have just missed out on it. Has he? Yes, he has. So Mark's missed out yet again, and he's having to burn his ERS, use it slightly to try and get past. It's unfortunate for Mark, but we're going to have to see if he can get in that 1 second range. It's going to be close, but I believe he is not. No, he is not. There is an incident at the back, however, and that is Ben Cordenley round along with Jidge. So there has been an incident there between the NLR and FRT driver, but they are now going to be demoted down to P18 and P19. Hopefully there will be no harsh fighting between those two. Ken looking for a move potentially on Dylan Warren as there's fights, of course, still throughout the field. Tony keeping a 3 second gap to Franek. It hasn't gained much, so Franek is having to pick up the pace slightly because he has a lot of pressure behind from Joris and Max, as they will now be opening up the ERS for the second time on their lap. Joris 3 tenths behind Franek, Max 4 tenths behind Joris. Joris behind Franek, Max behind Joris. I'm fumbling my words so much, and I'm sorry for me doing this. As Mark currently at disadvantage with his ERS. He's only on 30%. However, he's dropped Daniel Gottschalk. Daniel has had a moment or two because Daniel now out of the DRS range. He's actually fallen down by 2 seconds to the back of Mark. So Justin is now going to be all over the rear of the FVR driver in the McLaren. And will look for a move, I imagine, on the straight here after turn 5 would be my guess on where he would look for a move. Is he going to turn on ERS? Yes, he is. Slightly, but no more deployment as of right now. Jerry Teichels still in P8, P9. They're just playing the waiting game, it looks like right now. However, Yanni is at a brilliant exit there, and he was close to looking for an overtake on Teichel. However, he decides to wait and think ahead for further laps. So, Tony leading the way on those mediums, of course. 4 second gap now, so Tony's now picked up the pace, using a little bit of ERS, and he now has gained another second gap to Franek. Joris and Max are still the only drivers in the DRS range of Franek in P2. Mark, no DRS. Daniel, no DRS. Justin, however, struggling to keep up. Daniel's had a few good moments. And there's Jerry, looking to maybe try to get a move done. Ben Cornley's binned it on track though. And then Jerry, looking for the move into turn 16. He has forced Justin wide. It's a questionable move, you could say that, but Jerry is passing, he is up into P7, and now Teichel might look for a move potentially on Justin too. However, if anything, it's a test driver of Yanni being closer to Teichel. So these four, P7 to P10, look to be doing most of the fighting right now. Surprisingly, Ben Cordonley's DNF was not a safety car or anything, so we'll have to see in reports maybe if it was an intentional DNF. We are not so sure. However, Teichel is looking on the move on Justin. He's going to take the outside line, and is he going to be able to get the move done? They are side by side. There's a slight bit of contact. Teichel is off. They're going to continue being side by side. And is he going to get the move done? As here goes the test driver. There is contact between the test driver and the PSR driver. Gianni isn't going to be able to get any positions. And here comes Raymond, looking potentially for a move on the inside. However, the test driver of Gianni looking for a move on the WR driver of Justin. And there is contact as they drift round the Singapore sling. And now Teichel has fallen out of the DRS range of his teammate Jerry Van Bussel ahead, as Matthew has managed to get past Raymond, as Ben has now left the session. Matthew tucking into the slipstream of Raymond may send it on the inside, however he thinks better and does not do so. Some massive fights happening right now in the middle of the field, but as we look to the front, Max is looking on the move on Joris. Joris hasn't had a good exit out of the last corner, and here goes Max looking for a podium on the inside line. Is he going to be able to get it? He has sort of forced Joris off track there. Joris will look for the switchback, but is he going to be able to achieve it? It does not look like it. Max now up into the podium position. He manages to secure DRS again as well, which definitely will benefit him. However, Joris may look for a move, but it doesn't look like he will so far. And Max now up into a podium position, which is very good for TF10, as then Jerry has gotten past his fellow... No, is Jerry German? I'm not sure. No, Jerry's Dutch. Sorry. Daniel's German. Jerry gets past Daniel, the PSR driver, trying to gain more points for the team up into P6. Teichel now trying to get in that 1 second range yet again, trying to get the DRS on Daniel. I think Jerry might play a little bit of a team play here and slow Daniel down to give Teichel DRS, because he is having to defend from the drivers behind. Of course, it's a DRS train all the way from P8 down to P16 currently. So most of the point paying positions are on a DRS train as it stands, with Teichel not in that second range as of yet. So quite a few drivers now with no DRS. Tony still flying away in the lead right now on these medium tyres. He has now a 5-second gap to the test driver of Franek. So clearly those mediums are working for Tony, but is he going to be able to succeed in doing the alternate strategy of medium to hards? We're going to have to find out in, I think I would say around halfway through this race, in around lap 16, lap 17, when I think the hard component tire drivers will be beginning to pit, in which we will see where Tony can come out of the pit lane, as that is Justin being overtaken by the test driver of Yanni. Yanni up into P9, however, out of the 1 second DRS range, and there is very soon going to be DRS, so it could potentially be split between P6 and P8 now, which would give PSR a massive advantage, as of course they're going to have only day 3 and they're going to have day 2 and Daniel in the DRS train, and Yanni is not going to be getting DRS. So PSR now P6, P8 with no driver with DRS behind. So it's looking very good for them right now. However, just quickly having a look at the front. Max still P3, Franek still P2, Joris still P4. Mark is trying to get in that DRS range. He is keeping up with the pace. It's him struggling to keep up with the front drivers, but he is keeping the gap to Jerry Van Bussel ahead. So Mark clearly seems to be a good P5 contender for this race as it stands right now, because he has shown some great pace. As there's a move for P10, and it is Raymond and Justin. I think Justin has just done a switch back on the PGS driver. However, Raymond is going to look for the move around the outside, which will become the inside up into the next corner, and Raymond is now up into P10, which I believe is a point, as Matthew sends on the inside of Justin. Thankfully, no contact between these drivers, but it was trying to look for an audacious move from Matthew, who of course got spun by Dylan Warren, in the first lap. But Matthew just trying to make up the positions again. He's all over the rear of the WR driver. He wants to make the move, but it is a street circuit, so it is tough to get moves done. It mainly has to be DRS straights where it has to get done, which could actually be right now. However, he stays behind for now. And actually, there's a move behind, and it's Dylan getting past Godji, who is also under pressure by Kane now too, who is looking for a move. There is contact between Dylan and Godji, and Dylan will not be a happy man right now, because he might have just fallen out of the DRS range from that. He manages to get the DRS, which he will be thankful for. However, that was a bit close, and now Godji, Ken, going to go side by side. Ken is going to try and look for the move, but Godji defends it well. They're still side by side through turn 1, 2 and 3, so fair play to them. Turn 4, Ken is ahead up into P15. As, ladies and gentlemen, there's a move for P2. Max has got past Franek. Max has got the move done up into P2. Franek now down to P3, back to where he started this race. And now Max is going to be the driver to try catch up to Tony. Tony and Max both being on the exact same amount of ERS on 38, now 40. As Mark, of course, as we saw, Mark is not able to keep up with the front 4 drivers, but he's able to keep ahead and keep the sufficient gap to Jerry, Daniel and Taicho behind, as Gianni has managed to get DRS range, by the way. So that's a DRS train between P6 and P10, because Matthew now no longer having DRS, as Dylan looking for a move potentially in null, as Dylan has been let past by null. As there's a little weave there. Not sure what that was, but it is what it is. It can be reported if any of the managers are watching the stream. However, Tony's still in the way on the medium tyres, A 6-second gap to Max. It is gaining, and the mediums will start to die off now. So you would think the hard compound tyre drivers would be gaining, but no, it is, the gap is extending slightly every lap. As I mean, it's going to be interesting because these three could potentially be on the podium. Of course, it's going to be, I think, between these four drivers, Joris, Franek, Max and Tony. If it just stays as it is right now, for example, if there's no safety cars, if there is, and if it's just based on pitting and tyres and battling, it will be between Joris, Franek, Max and Tony. That is my guess, because Mark is falling behind now. He's now down to 2.4 seconds behind. Jerry is catching to Mark a few tenths a lap, so Mark has slightly fallen off as Tony not in the pit lane as of yet. I think it is 14 laps on the mediums. 14 and 17 is the best to do. I clearly could be wrong with that though, so do not judge, because I most likely am wrong with that. However, Max, of course, still leading in P2. Franek and Joris follow up behind with DRS. As the first 3-second penalty has been received, and it is Gidge down in P17, the FRT driver, picking up a 3-second time penalty for 3 track limit warnings. FRT currently P17, P18. Both have pitted several times, very close to being lapped, as there is fighting here between Justin and Matthew, the ABS and WR driver. It's looking like Justin defending on Matthew. Matthew unable to get past, as he did slightly get forced off track by what I saw. And Matthew will not be happy. Also, he won't be happy because he's got Dylan Warren behind him again. It was, of course, Dylan and Matthew fighting for P2 at the start of this race, and then they made contact and both spun at turn 16 and turn 17. As Tadpole sets the fastest lap of the race, down in P18, of course, on those fresh medium tyres. Sonny Rishik continues at the front of the field. The gap currently between Mark and Jerry is becoming sufficiently smaller. Is that as a retirement on track for Gidge? And the safety car is out. So now this is where it gets interesting, because Tony now has had a miracle, because he can now easily go to the end on hard tyres. But the question is, to the hard compound tyre drivers pit, as Mark in P5 has picked up a drive-through time penalty. It's a heartbreak for the ET8 driver, but he's picked up a time penalty. And in P5, that's going to absolutely destroy his race. Because, of course, you can't serve it under a safety car. He's got to wait until the safety car ends, in which he will be 25, 30 seconds behind the drivers ahead. So now, what will the drivers do? Tony, or will Tony pit is the question. I think he will. And to be honest, I think I would actually be surprised if he didn't. But Tony, coming in the final 3 corners now. Is he going to pit? Yes, he is. The medium tyre driver is in the pit lane, trying to make sure he doesn't break any rules in the pit lane, and he enters it very nicely. Max is in, Franek is in, Joris is in. Yeah, I think most of these drivers now are going to just try take the mediums for a very long distance if they can. with, yeah, pretty much every single, it's just a chain reaction now. Every single driver is entering the pit lane. Yeah, every single driver is in the pit lane now, as Raymond has picked up a first second time penalty. Wait, Raymond. With contact with Yanni. So that's actually going into the pit lane. He's got in that time penalty. And, what do I have to say? There has been double stacks, so a few drivers have lost out on positions. That being Taicho, who's lost out on positions. I think Justin? Justin wasn't this far back. Because Raymond is now up from P10 to P8, the only PGS driver today too, which we have to remember. Of course, decent time penalty, you know, it's not, oh no, 5 seconds, sorry. Contact with Yanni in the pit lane, I believe. So, now what the interesting thing. So, Tony, now the only driver on the grid, on the hard compound of tyres. Everybody else. So, Tony, the only driver on the hards, the rest of the drivers being on the mediums. Can Tony keep the lead is the question. After seeing how overpowered the mediums were with Tony at the start, Tony is going to struggle, I think. So we're just waiting for Tadpole now. As Tadpole is catching up to the back of the field, so we should be underway for lap 16. So safety car is in this lap, the message up at the top of the screen. So Tony will lead the way. So, Tony around the final few corners. Safety car just entering the pit lane now. The question is, when is he going to go? The safety car, I believe, is in the pit lane now, so he can go at any time. And he's going to go before the final few corners. And he's got quite a good restart compared to the drivers behind. Something has happened to Mark, who has now entered the pit lane to serve his drive-through time penalty. Gorge has gotten a 3-second time penalty. But yeah, Mark serving his serving his drive route now. Tony leading the way. Of course, most of the drivers have gained a position now. So Tony's still leading the way on the hards, and full commitment now into the commentary for the rest of this race, because this is where it's going to get interesting. Because mediums typically don't go this long, so it's going to be interesting to see if the drivers are going to be able to actually take the tyres this long of a stint. Of course, Tony should quite easily be able to go to the end now, I would say, as you know, hards they can last, I think, up to something like 20 laps, and we've only done technically like 1, maybe 2 laps, and they have been on the safety car. So, yeah, will definitely be interesting. Tony's still leading the way, showing very good pace right now on the hard tyres compared to everyone on the mediums. Of course, Max is going to be the driver who will look for a move. Max does set the fastest lap, so currently it looks like Max is faster than Tony. But that will only be able to be seen if Max will be able to surpass Tony up into the lead of the race. I think we're just going to have to mainly wait until DRS is activated, until we see any attempt on a move. That would be my guess. But Max is gaining with the power of slipstream from the Aston Martin driver. Mark has picked up a time penalty behind. Of course, he served his drive through, unfortunately, now with a 3-second time penalty too. As they would be opening up the day of rest now, but of course we have to wait 2 extra laps to see that happen. Currently, everyone is still within that 1 second range, except for Tadpole at the back, and then of course Mark, who had to serve his drive for time penalty. So currently, it's a long DRS train. Raymond looks to be the driver who might not get it, as currently, just after 1 lap, the gap is 8 tenths to the drivers ahead, nearly 9 tenths now, so he is struggling. Max goes faster by 2 tenths compared to his previous lap, so Max clearly with great pace right now. That is Tadpole at the back picking up a 3-second time penalty. DRS is now enabled, so Max, using a slight bit of ERS, will look for the move, I think, on this straight potentially. No ERS is turned on, so currently, not now. As Franek, Joris, Jerry, Daniel, Raymond, Tycho, Janet, Justin, Matthew, Dylan, they're all following behind. Every single driver on this grid is pretty much in this DRS train, so it could literally be anyone's game. As that is Noel Carlman in P13, the other ET8 driver, to pick up a 3-second time penalty too. 4 of the 5 drivers at the back, I should say, having now picked up 3-second time penalties. Max are having the greatest of exits there into turn 13 through the Singapore Sling as they go around turn 14 of Connaught now, as they then go of course on to the new part of the circuit, the straight, which has been made with the removal of turns 18, 19, 20 and 21. As Max had a little moment there on the exit riding on board with him, but of course he's still going to stay in the DRS range of Tony, as Joris sets the fastest lap. He beats Max's time. So Joris looking very pacey right now as he follows the top 3 behind. As Tony having to use a slight bit of ERS. Max also using ERS. He's looking to try to get as close as possible to the rear of Tony, but is he going to be able to get the move done is the question. He isn't as of yet, but he is looking for it. You can tell by how he's moving the car and how he's entering corners. He's trying to make Tony make a mistake and then compromise and get up into the lead of the race. However, not able to do so right now on the 5-lap old tyres. So Max using the ERS now. He's going to look for it now. Up into turn 16, he's going to try and look for the move on Tony. And as he got past, yes he is. Tony backs out. Max actually overshot the corner. And it's a beautiful switchback from Tony into the final two corners. He's back up into the lead of the race. What a move and what a switchback. However, Max just uses the DRS yet again. And Max passed and up into the lead of the race. The TF10 driver now in the lead for the first time this race. He's up 5 positions. It's a brilliant start for the driver. As Franek now might look to try follow Tony. However, if anything, Tony's going to maybe look at a move on Max now again. However, he decides not to, which is the better decision, of course. So, Tony and Franek actually both back to where they started this race in P2 and P3. Joris up 1, Max up 5, Jerry up 5, Daniel up 3, Raymond, sorry, I keep on saying Raymond for D on the end. Raymond up 8. So the only PGS driver on the grid is having a great race right now. However, he has not got DRS to the drivers ahead. So currently, it's a top 6 DRS train with then P7 down to P12, as that is Godje and Noel fighting for P13. That's actually Godje in the wall, and it could be front wing damage for the WR driver, with now Kian and Noel both looking for positions. Noel might look for a move. Yeah, Godje definitely has wing damage, as he is very slow through a few of those corners there. However, we go back up to the front, where Max leading the way now, of course. Joris all over the rear. Franek has had a mistake out of the first 3 corners, and now Joris might deploy his ERS. Yes, he does. And is he going to be able to get up into the podium position into turn 6? Oh no, turn 7, sorry, of Memorial Corner. No, he is not. He stays behind for now. He looks for a move potentially into turn 8 of Stamford. However, not able to do so. He's all over the rear Franek through turn 9 of Padang, but he's not going to be able to look for anything now, as entering the Singapore Sling, turn 10, turn 11, turn 12, and turn 13. Very tricky corners, as Tony is very, very close to Max. He might as well look for a move now. As the DRS, he does lift off though, so Tony does not want to go past now. He doesn't want to disadvantage himself ahead, thinking ahead for this race, as it's still a top 6 DRS train, with Raymond having Taicho swarming behind him, trying to look for a move, as there is an incident, I believe, at the back. Noel slows down, Ken and Godji both go past. Could be front wing damage. Oh yeah, Noel's front wing is completely gone. He's lost his front wing, and now the ET8 drivers are now going to be the people at the back of the grid. It's so unfortunate for ET8, but no front wing into the pit lane to get it repaired. It's Tony now having ERS slightly deployed there. He might look for a move. Is he going to look for a move into turn 7? He's looking for the inside line. Tony, Max, side by side. Hards versus mediums. There is contact. It's clean racing though. They both stay on track. Max keeps the lead for now. But Tony, of course, will definitely look for that. Tony is very impressive right now on, of course, the alternate strategy on these hard tyres. as actually Jerry has caught up fully to the back of this train, and Jerry now may look for a move on Joris potentially soon for P4, as Joris is, still there in the top four, but Jerry has closed in significantly to where he has been previously. Taicho has got past Raymond. I did not see that. And now the Tez and WR driver are going to be going side by side. Jerry and Joris switch is what I was saying. Jerry's now got the move done, but Jerry's now going to be completely compromised because Jerry currently is not going to have the ERS. Is he going to be able to just snatch it though? He is. Wow, so Jerry just manages to get it. And Jerry, who is mainly known for being on the PSGL PlayStation side in F1, now racing in PC for PSR, up into P4 of this race. Brilliant pace from Jerry so far. And he is definitely impressing, trying to, of course, help PSR with the championship, because it is PSR versus TF10 right now, and Max is in the lead of the race. But then, actually talking about the lead of the race, through goes Tony up into the lead. So Tony now re-overtakes Max. So Tony now leading the way on those hard tyres, remember, ladies and gentlemen. So Max is falling behind slightly. Maybe has he picked up front wing damage? No, I don't think he has. It was just a moment or so which he has had. Actually, he's a bit slow. Just in 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a position. He's in P9, and my guess is that it would be on Matthew and Janet, as Janet has done a send into turn 13. And he's tried to make it work on Matthew, but Matthew defends him, trying to go for any move. And he's not going to be able to get that done. As, of course, Max still in the ERS range, but Tony has gained quite a good gap. It is currently 7 tenths, so it is looking good right now for Tony. Of course, on strategy, you would not think that, well, I don't want to say you wouldn't think he'd be doing this well, but Tony is, PSGL, PCF3, I believe? As there is an incident, Raymond is round. The only PGS driver on the grid has spun, I believe. It could have been contact with another driver. I'm not so sure, and I'm not going to say because I'm not entirely sure and confident. But Raymond is round. He's down into P13, unfortunately, now. And any points for PGS has now just been thrown out of the window near enough. Now he is behind Kin, P12. Of course, he has that fast time penalty, though, so it's still really, really unfortunate for the PGS driver. As, it's still a top 6 DRS train. Taicho is P7. Matthew is very far behind, 3.7 seconds behind the other drivers. So, yeah, definitely interesting. As there's a bit of fighting at the back. Mark and Tadpole having some friendly fights for P15 and P16. As there is yellow flags. That is Noel. Round again. It's front wing broken. Thankfully, he quickly turns round. But that was close, and it definitely could have been a safety car or something. But again, it's no front wing for Noel. Might be a retirement. He nearly DNFs there and going into the wall. Struggling slightly going into the pit lane. He speeds in. It will be a retirement. Yes, it will be. So it's unfortunate for Noel, who's done so well, but that drive-through time penalty has completely messed him up. However, what we have to look at, Franek has all of a sudden fallen out of the DRS range. And now has Jerry looking for a move up into the podium position. Jerry's got ERS on. He's going to look for a move now on the new straight. He's tried to go for a gap, which does not exist. And there was a lot of contact between the two drivers there. And now they've lost much more time to Max and Tony ahead. Now Tony and Max can somewhat relax. Well, I wouldn't really say relax, but you get what I mean. You know, they've got a comfortable gap now. They've got no drivers behind them in DRS. So it's now P3 to P6 the DRS train, and then it's just Tony and Max fighting for the win. Dylan Warren picks up a 3-second time penalty in P10. So that means he will drop out of the point. Gianni will get the points ahead of him. However, we have to go back to the front where Jerry has gotten the move on Franek. Jerry now up again past Joris and now past Franek, and Jerry is up into a podium position at Singapore, showing that PlayStation drivers can do something on PC, showing great pace right now as he is dumping his ERS to try gain on the two drivers ahead. Because, of course, it's just going to be him switching with Franek for the rest of this race, or he just has to defend well from them behind. As Jerry has gained a few temps, Tapple 15 time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line. So he pitted, but then crossed the white line, and now got a time penalty in game. All I can say to that is, oh well. However, Franek has definitely got damage. Franek has now fallen out of the second range on Jerry. So, yeah, Franek has definitely gotten front mind damage now, because he, the test driver, is struggling immensely now. He's fallen from P3 down to P4. Now has Joris and Daniel looking for a move potentially behind. Franek could move down to potentially P6 here, as Joris having a little moment on the exit. However, Franek with no more ERS, Joris with as much ERS as you could think of, and Joris easily slips past, and Joris now up into P4 with Franek now falling down into P5. As Franek, it's unfortunate, he could have potentially got on the podium. He would have been fighting with Jerry, I would imagine, for the podium. But now, might fall down to P6. Daniel will look for the move in the final 4 laps, of course. But will be interesting to see what happens. Jerry, ladies and gentlemen, has gotten in the DRS range of Max and Tony. He has done what he's wanted to do and gain 8 temps on Tony and Max. He has used all of his ERS though, so Jerry is flashing now. However, he's done what he wanted to do, which is getting a DRS range, which now sets himself up ahead for this rest of the race, but might potentially fall out of it now. But it is Tony v Max at the front, Jerry following behind, of course. Jerry's just not gotten DRS. He was so slight off, but Max picks up a 3-second time penalty. So now all of a sudden, Max is going to fall 3 seconds, which is going to be P5. So now, all of a sudden, it's Jerry in P2, Joris P3, and Franek P4, and then it will be Max in P5. There's been an incident, however, and it's Dylan. Dylan is round, and I believe that's turn 4. Yes, that's turn 4. Dylan is round. It might have been spun round. There's been contact with Raymond there as well. However, Yanni and Justin also fighting Justin up into P9. But we have to go to the front, where this is the main battling. Joris has nearly got in the DRS range now. 2 of the drivers ahead. He's just outside of it. It's so unfortunate that he hasn't actually been able to get it there. And Max has now fallen out of the DRS range. He has still got it, but is he going to be able to get it on the home straight? Because it's just going to be ERS usage from Tony against Max. However, Max looks like he will be getting it. Jerry is going to be very close as well to getting it. He's managed to just get it though, so we're back to a top 6 DRS train with 3 laps to go. What is going to happen for the rest of this race? Because it is going to be so close. It's Tony leading the way, of course. For right now, Dylan has entered the pit lane. I'm mad. Looks like it will just be... Oh no, it's a front wing change actually. So there was an incident involving another driver with Dylan, I think. And he's now pitted onto the new softs. Front wing change too. We'll probably try to take fastest lap. I think he will definitely be able to do it. He's got to gain 1.8 seconds to Noel's previous time, but no, it should be doable. Joris has fallen out of the DRS range of the drivers ahead. So has Daniel as well. I've just realised this. As we're about to enter onto the second final lap of this brilliant and magnificent race of the ERS times PGS event of round 3 around Singapore. Tony Rishi leads the way on the hard company tyres. Max is on the mediums, but with that 3-second time penalty, he's going to drop down to what? It's going to be P5 still. He's pretty much fighting with Franek. Franek is nearly out of the range of which he will be able to beat Max with Max's time penalty. It will be very close. Franek actually won't know about Max's time penalty unless he is an engineer which has told him. I imagine he's probably been told about it. That would be, I guess. However, Tony is just cruising away right now, and Tony showing his clear dominant pace around Singapore, going through turn 9 of Padang there and entering into the Singapore sling. Tony has shown some incredible pace today. But Joris now struggling to stay in a good range of potentially beating Max. It's actually going to be really close between Joris and Max. Max has right now beaten Franek, so Max will only go down to P4 as it stands, but he could potentially stay on the podium. However, it's all going to be determined on this final lap, where Tony is going to be going around the final few corners now to start us our final lap. Tony has thrown everything this race. He has 40% ERS to use. Tony, of course, using the alternate strategy. He did get a little saved, I will say, with that safety car from the FRT driver. But it's Tony leading the way from Max and then from Jerry. Joris, I think, has picked up damage because Joris is now battling to try get a podium, as Max is also then battling to try keep a podium too. Jerry looks quite comfortable now to be taking home a beautiful P2 finish for PSR. But we're going to have to wait until the end of the race, of course, because I don't want to jinx anything and I don't want to say something and then, you know, a big event happens. Justin and Janet fighting in P9. They are side by side. Janet is past and up into P9. Dylan Warren takes the fastest lap, of course. He's on those fresh soft tyres. However, we go back to the front. Tony now using all of the ERS which he has to just pull a big gap to the drivers behind. There is yellow flags, and it is Raymond unfortunately spinning on the final lap of this race. But we have to watch the front, where Tony has done an incredible race today. He was P2 in the wet quali, and now with a medium hard strategy, the only driver doing medium hards, he's go around the final corners. It's going to be Tony Rishi to win in Singapore. Max comes across P2 on the line, but it is going to be P3 for him, with Jerry picking up a P2 finish. Joris unfortunately just misses out on a podium, followed by Franek, then Daniel, then Taicho, then Matthew, and then the other drivers of Justin, Yanni, and Kian. However, Justin with those time penalties means he's going to fall out of the points if it's the top 10 scoring points, with then Yanni and Kian scoring some points for Tez and FBR. It's then Justin, and then it's Goji, Raymond, Mark, and it's actually Mark and Raymond fighting side by side across the line. Ooh, interesting fighting. Franek, why did you retire? Okay, so Franek is retired. He was P5, so do remember that. Dylan comes across the line, and Tadpole is just finishing now. So that is the end of today's race. Max has just left too, but hopefully, it doesn't come up that he retired. I will just quickly get the race director, plus just quickly scroll through the results so you can actually see what the results were like. And then I'm unfortunately going to have to go. Driver of the day, Jerry. I definitely agree. What a race from him, picking it up from P5 to finishing P2. But a podium celebration for Tony, the French driver who wins in Singapore. P2 to P1 from Jerry. P10 to P2. It's a brilliant race from Max, Joris, Daniel, Taicho, Matthew, Jane, Kine, and Justin are your point finishers, with Goji, Mark, Raymond, Dylan, Tadpole, Franek, Noel, Gidge, and Ben not scoring any points. So I'll get the race director very quickly, as I'll just scroll through it like so. There we go. Just to quickly show too, Franek 5.804 gap means he is P5, so don't forget that. So thank you everyone. Unfortunately, I actually have to go, so I'm not going to be able to do any interviews, but I thank Yarmo and the other drivers, not the other drivers, the other admins for this opportunity, because it was only just talked about today. I got approached with the opportunity and I happily accepted it because it's my first time commentating PC, guys. However, thank you everyone, and I don't know if I'll be commentating next week, but next week is, of course, round 4. I don't know what track, but tune in next week if it's me or if it's anyone else. It will definitely be a great race. But yeah, see you all next week for the ERS and PGS event, round 4. Thank you. I've been Cameron Don. Have a good night.